Welcome back to Embrace the Madness. This is your host, Madeline. If you've never tuned in before, welcome. If you have, welcome back. I'm super glad to be recording an episode. It's been so long, and I feel like I've shared with my journey. I don't know, every time I get on the microphone to talk, but it's just like been this really interesting last 2 years. It's just like a lot that I'm realizing about the podcast. I don't really know if I'm getting all the words in correctly or if it makes sense, but I've just learned a lot of things. And yeah, so essentially, I've been wondering why I can't get back into my routine, back into my system. And I forget to acknowledge that we've been living in a pandemic for, I guess, almost 2 years now. And I started this podcast. I mean, I still had a job, but it was only going to be for like, I don't know, 5 more months. So the majority of this podcast was created while I had so much free time. I was unemployed. We were all dealing with whatever. I had a lot more time for creativity and just reflection and yeah, just definitely purging a lot of stuff as we all did and started my Patreon and then things started trying to go back to normal. And so I essentially didn't have a job until this February 2021. And so, trying to reintegrate my life with working again after everyone's priorities have changed, and trying to still do the podcast, still do the Patreon, while also working 30 hours a week. And for some reason, like, I can't get it through my brain that trying to incorporate something that was essentially my full-time job into a schedule where I really don't have as much free time anymore is kind of hard. And not to mention that I have so much music stuff that I am doing. There's just, yeah, there's a lot. And I think that I have been really hard on myself forgetting that, all that stuff was created when I didn't have a job. And so I've just been like, oh, why can't I get it together? Why can't I do the podcast like I had been doing? Like, I'm letting all these people down. I'm letting myself down. So I've definitely been in, it's like a weeble wobble headspace. Like, one day I'm great. One day I'm like sad. One day I'm great. One day I'm sad. One day I'm awesome. The next day I'm like, so thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to my little spiel. I guess that was like the preface to my life. Well, I wanted to talk this episode about another big thing that I have been kind of leaning into and learning about myself and existence is that we also kind of follow the cyclical, seasonal nature, just like it's mirrored in our environment. And so when I say that, I just mean like, and I almost just started talking about capitalism because that's like a whole other conversation, but essentially, just how we are seeing transformation happen now. We're going from summer to fall, the temperatures are changing, the colors are changing. We shift from summer to fall to winter to spring, back to summer, and it's over and over and over again. And we need all of these seasons because each season provides different things. And so a big example is like farming and agriculture and looking at things that way, but even just looking at plants or flowers or trees, anything really. And I love how beautiful and visual the trees can be when you are looking at the different seasons. One of my favorite things to do is go to this park in Midtown and just like be able to see the difference in season. So it's like really beautiful in the summer when everything's big and bright and green, and I love fall. I just love the colors, and maybe I'm just a sucker for shedding layers, but I just like right now I'm just in heaven driving around the city. So, yeah, trees are just this beautiful example, and I'm sure you've seen before, but in the winter they're bare, they've lost their leaves. In the spring they start growing new ones. In the summer they're kind of like at peak, and then for fall they start turning red, turning orange, dying essentially so that they can fall off, so that the tree can start its cycle over for the next season. And what I think that we have been so disconnected from is the fact that we are also part of nature. We are also cyclical beings, and we too follow these seasons of summer, fall, winter, spring. But thanks to capitalism, the patriarchy, and I'm not trying to like just shift the blame. I'm just saying that we have been conditioned to believe, well, one, that there's no other way, that we must be productive all the time, that we must be working all the time, that we must be creating all the time, that we must be, I don't know, doing something all the time. And I've noticed when I try to slow down or rest or take a break, and let me know if you have the same thoughts, but it's like my brain's instantly like, well, you need to be doing something. You didn't do anything today, and if you do the same thing again tomorrow, you're fucked. You're blah blah blah. So my brain like goes crazy. Not to mention, I don't remember if I shared it on the podcast. I might have shared it on the Patreon, but I like fell through my deck a couple months ago. I think it was like 3 months now. It was in September. Yeah. So, like, that literally forced me to not move. I had to call in from both of my jobs, and I was pissed. I was so pissed. I mean, not to mention it's just boring sitting there doing nothing, but like, I was just like, so many things were going on in my brain. Like, you could be doing this, you could be doing this, you could be doing this, you could be doing this. And I couldn't do any of it. And like, I really had to stop listening to my brain and let my body heal, because I just, I think it's crazy because when we don't listen to our inner wisdom, something happens to force us to. So that's also another whole ass conversation about my knee. But essentially, yeah, I had to take a forced break. And, just like the pandemic, we're all going to work until we're forced to not work, because we've got bills to pay, we've got shit to do, we've got a life to live. And so the idea of us stopping or taking a break is just unheard of. And that's something that I was so grateful for during the pandemic, was like, this literally made everybody stop and think and reflect. And I think that was a big piece of gratitude that I experienced, because I needed time to stop and I needed time to reflect. And like, if you are a fellow restaurant industry person, then taking a break is hard, and like, you just get in the zone of working all the time. Oh, I'll do that. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I can't. I got to work. And then it's like 5 years later and you're like, oh shit, I like never stopped working. I'm still bartending. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. So just that happens. So yeah, the importance of rest is just important. And so, yeah, the knee thing. Yeah. So, like, thank goodness I'm back at work, back doing stuff. I've been doing stuff probably. I only took like a week off, but I had to like way slow down, like way, way, way slow down. Like, I was pretty good when I played at Memphis, thank goodness. But yeah, I couldn't, I don't know. If you've ever seen me DJ, I like can't stop jumping. So so my knee just kind of had to like get with the program for that day. But Yeah, it's still a little tender on the sides. When I touch, I think there's a little bit of scar tissue. But I'm okay. I didn't break anything or whatever. But I don't know what I was even talking about. Oh yeah, the rest. So my body was craving this rest and this regeneration. This it needed to stop doing stuff. And I think that because we are conditioned to not, you know, realize that we have seasons too, we also are constantly working and working and working and working. And it could be the way I was conditioned to believe growing up. It could be societal pressure. It could be so many things. It could be my perfectionist tendencies. I think there's a lot of things factoring into this. But what I've been really thinking about lately, and I mean, obviously, like with the changing in seasons, I think that me looking at nature for guidance is so paramount to me creating meaning and understanding for my life. And so, one of my favorite things, if you are a loyal listener of the podcast, thank you, then you know that I love looking at like evolutionary biology and kind of how did we evolve from what we were before? How are we different from animals? How are we similar to animals? And so, just like in that same fashion, I think we got to hibernate sometimes. And I think there's a lot of science too that is going on behind the scenes during these rest periods that we forget are so crucial to being able to, yield a bountiful harvest next season. And I love doing these podcasts because I have all these like little epiphanies while I'm doing it, which I'm so grateful to be back because I just literally haven't been doing it for so long, and I think that it's an important part of my expressing myself and creating and stuff. So anyways, frick, where was I? Oh, yeah, there's so much like me just like thinking about right now, like all this stuff that I remember learning about sleep and how sleep is so necessary for us to be in proper condition for the next day because so much regeneration is happening during that rest period. And so you could equate that to winter because we know winter is cold, dark, nothing's really growing. A lot of animals are trying to stay warm and stay safe and take care of themselves and their babies and just, do the minimal to required to, stay alive. And some animals go into hibernation where they are on like different energy modes, where they are conserving literally everything they can because winter is just a season where you're just literally chilling. And these times of hibernation and shifting our energy states is really important because even if you are okay, imagine you're a bear and you're like, okay, well, I have to create offspring next spring or whatever. You have to do the most to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Not to mention, all this stuff just happens by instinct. Like, I mean, who knows? The bears could be thinking about it, but definitely not overthinking it like humans do. But that bear is doing everything it can to make sure that it's fed, that it's nourished, that it is taking care of itself so that when it does have offspring, that offspring will survive. And so I think that for me as a human, my winter is annoying. My winter is boring. My winter is my brain starts saying, why are you not doing anything? And what do you have to rest about? Like, which probably needs to be, you know, figured out, not figured out, but, expounded upon in a therapy session. But it's so hard as humans to honor the fact that we also have a winter. We have a fall and a winter where we need to chill the fuck out so that we can come back and have a badass spring and summer. And I think something that's helping me integrate the fact that I need to incorporate this natural wisdom in my life is that I don't think we necessarily have to match the external seasons, if that makes sense. So like I think it's okay that we might not necessarily be always on the timeline. Like the day that it says fall on the calendar, you don't have to be like shifting into your fall. Like for instance, I think that I might be in my winter right now, and I feel like I've just been really energetically low after Mempho. And so I think that was kind of me, building up in the spring, having this bountiful harvest, doing all the things. And now it's time to, I used all of my energy to produce that thing. And now I have to return inward so I can start conserving and building up my energy levels again. And so I think it's helpful for me to remember that my seasons might not line up. And hell, if I'm like an intergalactic being, I might not even be on the Earth's rules or like on the Earth's timeline, if that makes sense. Like I could be on Jupiter's timeline. And because I think gravity, that their time is just different. There's just different shit happening over there. But that's just to say, like, you don't have to be following someone else's timeline for your seasons. At least that's what I'm telling myself. But I also think that's a powerful piece of information to know, just period, is you don't have, like, only your timeline is correct for you. And I don't think that anyone else knows the answer except you. And so that's why reflecting and having this winter is important, because we need time to reflect. Just like how we were with the pandemic, like, because like capitalism and things have to, like, we always have to be producing, blah, 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 blah. Like, there was no time for reflection. I think that it hit people like a ton of bricks when they literally could not go to work. Some people probably had not stopped working for so long. And I am an introspective person and I reflect all the damn time, but I could only imagine how it would be for someone who's not, or someone who's avoiding it, or someone who's literally so busy they can't even think. So I'm definitely learning to honor my winter and honor these important periods of rest, because I've noticed that when I don't, and when I think that I can just create, I run out of energy. And I wonder why the fuck I'm like, why do I feel like shit? I can't do anything. I can't create anything. It's like, oh, well, because you've been trying to, like, it's like using gas from a car who's on empty. Like, there's literally no gas for you, honey. No gas. But if you take a break, stop at the gas station, fill up your tank, then you can start going again. And I mean, I think I'll probably always be learning this lesson. I think I'll always have to be reminding myself to slow down, take your break. Even with the podcast, I think something that I realize is I needed a break. And I mean, my brain's telling me, like, you took a break in January. But, like, I think I forget that creating podcasts is also creating content and it's creating something from nothing. So I think that that energetically is something that, I mean, obviously you need energy to transform into this other form of energy, but I've just been pressuring myself and trying to force myself to do something when it's just not there. And I think that taking breaks and resting and reflecting is really important, especially with my podcast. And yeah, I think we could talk all day about the different seasons and what's happening energetically, but it just makes me think of biology too. And I don't know. Learning about plants was like so challenging for me because they are so complex. Like I literally forgot all of the anatomy of plants, but I do remember it's like I remember big picture stuff. Like I do remember that. And what I love about biology and really probably existence is that the main goal is creation. And so for biology, that means reproduction, making sure your genes keep going. And so in nature, this means that this plant is because there are male and female reproductive organs on, like, I'm thinking of a flower, I guess, right now. This plant, it's like, okay, here's to do reproduce. So this plant has to start as a seed, grow, 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 and then create this flower, which has pollen, which has to create, okay, maybe let's change it from flower. Let's think about a pine cone. So the tree creates these pine cones, and the pine cone is a seed, and that seed falls off the tree so that it can create another pine tree. And so basically, rewind to before the pine cone existed. This organism is doing everything it can to make sure that it is strong and healthy and has what it takes to see another generation. So it's like literally, and I just got a visual of pooping, but it's literally spending all of its energy, all of its focus, all of its hard work towards creating the best seeds, the best pine cones, so that it will know without a doubt that they're going to have another generation of pine trees. So, if you can imagine, there's spring. So, it's using all of this energy. Like, imagine if your body was like tense and you're just using all this energy to grow and you're just like focusing on growing, focusing on growing. And then it's summer and you're like, whoa. And you're like getting all this sun and you're just like, yeah. And then fall's happening. You're like, the pine cones are falling. Oh, you just like literally, I think fall is the process of like letting go of that energy, trusting that it's going to do what it needs to do, and like releasing so that it can like go back into winter, reassess, figure out what energy it does have left, and then go on to do the same thing again. So much like how we have our seasons, we spend our spring in quotes because, like I said, I don't think our timeline necessarily has to be the same, but we exude all of this energy creating or being or producing or working. We're thriving in the summer. And then we kind of like have created our baby, or and that's also could be a metaphorical baby. Like you could have written a book or designed some clothes or wrote a song. There's so many things that could be created. And because we put all of our energy in creating this thing that's external from us, the energy has shifted from us to this thing. And so we no longer have that same energy that we had. So we have to retreat, kind of go into hibernation mode so that we can reassess our energetic situation, figure out what we have, figure out what we need to do to rest and to get back to where we need to be. And so, yeah, I just learning all of this and understanding it was so cool. But now integrating it is kind of the hard part because you actually have to do the rest. And I don't know about you, but it's kind of hard for me to rest sometimes. And I am a manifesting generator, but I don't think that necessarily means that I don't rest. But yeah, I just think it's an important theme that we consider as we are kind of understanding what capitalism kind of wants of us, and which is also tied into, the patriarchy and these systems. And I mean, essentially, it's all under the umbrella of white supremacy, but just like being these commodities that are just creating, and like, what's your productivity rating or level, or like, how much money can you make me, essentially. And I think that we are emotional, sensitive beings, and we are not robots. We're never gonna be robots. Well, maybe in a different life, but in this life, I think that it's so powerful that we are learning that we are not what we create. We are not what we are worth. We are not, or our worth does not is not correlated to how much we can produce or create. And so I'm just excited to get back in touch with nature, get back get back to, yeah, my innate wisdom, and trusting that, and following my seasons, and honoring that I just put in a hell of a lot of work, and now it's time to rest. And I think I'm actually coming up on my spring, but I think I just need to like keep tuned in, and listen to where I'm at with all of that, so that I can like be like, oh yeah, my season's lasted X amount or whatever. But I hope this resonated with you, and I hope that you find it fascinating and appreciate being able to look at your life kind of in a natural, cyclical way like that. But let me know what you think. I'm super, super glad again to start doing this. I think I also like don't want to do it when Davis is home, which is silly because I know he's not going to judge me, but it's like when you're pee shy, you just can't pee around other people, and I think I just can't podcast like, but I think that's a limiting belief, and I will work through that because I am so excited to start bringing more content because I know it makes me happy, and I know that it is so helpful for you. And yeah, shout out to this random girl. She just reached out to me on Instagram and said one of my podcasts was really helpful. And I think that's the first stranger or someone that I didn't know personally had said something. So shout out to you. Shout out to grow. Shout out to taking care of each other. Shout out to becoming better versions of ourselves because we deserve it. Yeah, shout out to Michael for being a super supporter on my Patreon. I'm so grateful for you. And I'm grateful to everyone else on the Patreon that supports me. So if you want to join the club, you can check out my website, embracethemad.com. You can go to the Patreon tab to see what's going on. I added a bunch of levels. And yeah, for $5 a month, you can receive a postcard. So I'm doing one of those things where I am podcasting before I have to go to work. So it's time for me to get ready. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Don't forget, honor your seasons, especially your winter, because it will come bite you in the butt. and give you frostbite. So this is Madeline with Embrace the Madness. I'll catch you next time. Bye. If you'd like access to more podcasts and a postcard each month, check us out on patreon.com/embracemadness.